day, dear viewers. I'm Damila Riakilude. Today, we shall be learning what is called reproduction. Please do well to subscribe to my channel, Damila Riakilude, basically for chemistry and biology videos. Okay, and there is another one called Youth Empowerment Ministry to learn spiritual stuffs and Praise educational consultant for moral development. Okay, let's go on. Reproduction is a very sensitive aspect of biology where we learn how human beings are given birth to. We learn the processes not only in human beings but also in lower organisms. Like this is a means of reproduction in a particular organism. Okay, let us move on. Alright, now what do we mean by reproduction? Reproduction is a process in which living organisms give rise to new individuals of the same species. So the idea that human beings to be interbreed with animals, for example lion, cannot hold. In fact, as a matter of fact, it is only organisms of the same species that can interbreed. And as a matter of fact, the genesis of HIV/AIDS till date has to do with trying to interbreed humans and animals together. Okay, so reproduction has to be of the same species. Reproduction is always continuity of life. Reproduction allows continuity of life. Organisms of the same species interbreed among themselves to produce young individuals similar to themselves of the same kind. So there are two basic types of reproduction. We have sexual and asexual reproduction. What do we mean by asexual reproduction? It's the type of reproduction in which new organisms are produced from a single parent without the production of gametes. Since there is no fusion of gametes in asexual reproduction, the daughter cells are genetically identical to the parent cell. There is no fusion of gametes. There is no male in sexual reproduction. Male gametes and female gametes come together, they fuse and they give us a new individual. But in asexual reproduction, there are no fusion of gametes. So the offspring resemble the mother, they are genetically identical to the parent cell. And as a matter of fact, what we now have is that organisms giving birth, every organism gotten from such are what we call clones. We call them clones. As a matter of fact, human cloning is asexual. It's a means of asexual reproduction. Advantages of asexual reproduction. Organisms exhibit asexual reproduction can produce rapidly and so colonize favorably environment within a short period of time. They colonize environment within a short period of time. Now, forms of asexual reproduction. We have spore formation, binary fission, budding, vegetative propagation. These are the forms of asexual reproduction: spore formation, binary fission, budding, and vegetative propagation. Now, for example, this is spore formation. In spore formation, spores are vegetative parts or vegetative units formed by some lower organisms. For example, fungi, okay, bacteria and fungi precisely. Okay, most fungi, e.g. bread mold, penicillium, rhizopus, produce numerous spores in their sporangia. Okay, when the spores is grown in their sporangia, okay, it bursts out from the sporangia, okay, and it gives us also from the sporangiophore, okay, then a new fungi, a new organism, a new rhizoid grow underneath here, and the same thing here. So that is how it forms. So the spore, these are the spores in it. When they are fully mature, they burst out from the sporangiophore, okay, then they come out and then get themselves, growing. And as a matter of fact, it falls on another and they start growing. Binary fission is the simplest form of asexual reproduction in unicellular organisms. Organism in which single cell, which is the parent cell, divides into two individual parts to produce two daughter cells. Two daughter cells are produced there, and each daughter cell can exist by itself. Fission is common in bacteria and protists like amoeba and paramecium. Fission. So when you talk of binary fission, we mean an organism splits into two. The word fission means divides into two. Okay, so when an organism divides into two, that is what we mean by binary fission. Amoeba and paramecium regularly does this. Now, body is another form of asexual reproduction. In body, the offspring develops an outgrowth from the parents to form what is called a bud. The word body actually came from the budding as a means of asexual reproduction came from the word bud. Now, what do you mean by bud? The offspring develop as an outgrowth of the parents to form a bud. The bud is formed on the external or internal surface of the parent. Internal bud is found in organisms such as sponge. Internal bud is found in organisms such as sponge. The buds are released or detached when the parent dies. The buds are released or detached when the parent dies. Okay, so and the bud continues to grow. The buds are released when the parent dies. External buds are found in hydra, coral polyps, yeast. The bud breaks off from the parents without causing any harm or injury to the parents to live an independent life. So when the bud is grown enough to remain, okay, it is not that at the immediate point the bud is produced that it breaks out or breaks off from the parents. It grows for a while, and after which it breaks off from the parents and starts to live independently. Okay, like the young individual. Budding is also found in flatworm, tapeworm, yeast, and many more. Okay, now for vegetative propagation. What do we mean by vegetative propagation? This form of asexual reproduction is mostly found in higher plants. It usually involves the growth of new plants. New plants are grown here. Daughter plants from any part of the plant other than the seeds. The vegetative part of the plants are the seed. They are the stem, the root, the leaves. Okay, so these are the vegetative parts. But the reproductive part of a plant is flower. So any other means of reproduction apart from the flowering reproductive part of a plant, which is the flower, is what we call vegetative propagation. Okay, now many flowering plants produce vegetatively by means of underground storage organs such as rhizome, bulbs, okay, cones, tubers, and all those. So the part involved must be able to produce all organs of a complete plant, namely roots, stems, leaves, and flowers. So they are perennating organs. Leaves, stems, roots, flowers, they are perennating organs. They enable the plant to survive from one growing season to the next. Examples of perennating organs are stolon, rhizomes, tubers, bulbs, and cones. They lie dormant or inactive in the soil during the unfavorable season. This is a table. We have organs of vegetative propagation and perennation. Okay, I've told you what perennation is, or perennating organ. Now, bulbing, example is bryophyllum. It's the leaf that grows. Description, buds or perennating organ. How new plant develops. Axillary bud which fall from parent plant and grow into new plants. Bulb, example, organisms that grow by bulb. Plants that grow by budding or by bulbs. Bulb formation is onion, garlic, and lily. Okay. Description: underground condensed shoots with short stem, which is what? Perennating organ. Okay. Now, how new plants develops? Terminal and axillary buds develops into new plants. Runner, example is sweet potato and some grasses. Description: how does it grow? The weak stem that creep on soil surface. Perennating, which is the perennating organ. How new plant develops? Several stem radiate from the parent plants. We have another means of, all these are natural vegetative propagation. We could also have artificial vegetative propagation. So all these bulbing, bulb, runner, sucker, they are natural vegetative propagation. As said, artificial vegetative propagation, we will still get there, like marcotting, layering. We also have stem cutting and many grafting, stem grafting. Okay, let's continue. Example: pineapple, banana, plantain. Description: short underground horizontal branches ending with terminal bulbs. How new plant develops? Several underground branches grow horizontally from the underground stem of the parent plants. Okay, rhizome is another good example. Okay, example: ginger, canna lily, grasses, ferns. Description: underground horizontal, the underground horizontal branching stems with lateral and what terminal bulbs and scale leaves. That is how rhizome does, or that's how it grows. The way a new plant forms is bud at the tip of branch, grow upwards and form a shoot with new leaves and what? And flowers. Comb of cocoyam. Cocoyam grow by comb. I told you all these are what? Natural vegetative propagation. Okay, and caladium. Description: underground short, swollen stem, bases that grow vertically. That is how it grows. Now, how the new plant develops is that buds develop into axil of scale leaves around comb. These grow upwards and form leaves and what? And flowers. The last is the stems tuber. Yam, Irish potato, all tubers generally. Description: there is a swollen tip of the underground branches. How new plants develops? We have axillary bud on tuber, grow into what? New aerial shoot. Okay, types of vegetative propagation. I have told you we have natural and we have artificial. All the ones I had mentioned in the two tables in the last two slides are natural vegetative propagation. Now the artificial vegetative propagation, what do we mean by this? Farmers and horticulturists use vegetative reproductive methods to grow plants that are exactly like the parents. The method is referred to as what? Artificial vegetative propagation. They do so by planting pieces of perinating organs, like tubers and rhizome. Examples of artificial propagation include cutting, marcotting, layering, bud grafting, or budding, and what? Stem grafting. Now, sexual reproduction. Let me just say a little about all this. For grafting, okay, we use grafting for majorly for citrus fruits. I will give you an illustration. For example, if we have a citrus fruit that is sweet but not resistant, cannot resist citrus diseases, and we have another citrus fruit that is not sweet but can resist citrus diseases, something is going to take place. And do you know what is going to take place? So in stem grafting, or you will cut the stem of the one that is sweet and can resist citrus diseases and cut this another step of this one that is not sweet but can resist citrus diseases. Bring the two stems together, bind them together, and put them in the soil. So you have the scion and stalk. So the part you bind together of the two stems will be in the soil, and with time it will grow. In the end, you will have a breed of plants of citrus fruit that is sweet and can resist citrus diseases. So that's what we do in stem grafting. This in budding or grafting, it is similar to that of asexual reproduction. Reproduction is divided into sexual and asexual. Asexual reproduction is, we have 4 of them, okay, which are budding, binary fission, spore formation, and vegetative propagation. Okay, so we have discussed all those in the previous slide. So this budding is similar to that of budding of what? Main asexual reproduction. In cutting, like in stem cutting, most times we use cassava by we plant cassava by cutting, where you just cut the stem and put it in the soil, okay? Before you know it, a new cassava is coming up. Okay, that's how it goes. Sexual reproduction is the type of reproduction that involves the fusion of male and female gametes, the fusion of two gametes, okay, of different sex cells, which continually come from two different parents. Sex cells are also known as gametes and formed by type of cell division called what? Meiosis. Mitosis is concerned with what? Cell division, somatic cells, but meiosis is reproduction. Now, types of sexual reproduction, we have conjugation and we have fusion of gametes. Okay, now let's take conjugation. Conjugation in some unicellular organisms it's a sexual reproduction and it is very simple. The whole organism may act as a gamete. This may pair with similar whole cell and exchange nuclei. This type of sexual reproduction is known as conjugation, where there is pairing of filaments of parts. This type of sexual reproduction is found in organisms such as paramecium, spirogyra, chlamydomonas, rhizopus, and what? And mucor. Now, for example, this is a spirogyra. Here is a filament. Here is another filament. Okay, and both of them they will be pairing. Okay, so before you know it, there is a conjugation tube being formed here. The filament of this is forming a tube with this. Now, when we get here, there is exchange of cytoplasmic material between this filament and this filament. Now, in the end, when this is male gametodium, this is conjugation process. Here all these are what we call conjugation tube, and this is the zygote. Now, after that, this has happened. After that, there has been cytoplasmic sharing, okay, or sharing of part of the cytoplasm of once this strand and this strand. A zygote is produced, or a zygospore, okay, and you have the new spirogyra being formed. Let's consider what we have in paramecium. This is a paramecium. This is a paramecium. Units to form conjugates, okay? A and B come together. We have a macronucleus disintegrates. The macronucleus disintegrates. Then micronucleus undergoes two successive disintegration. Macro first disintegrates. Micro now disintegrates to undergoes two successive division. Okay, we have it here. We have three nuclei. Okay, disintegrate. On and on and on. So we have it coming here like this. Male reproductive pronucleus of one conjugate fuses with female pronucleus of another conjugate. Formation of zygote nucleus. In this way, conjugates separate to form what? X conjugates. We have it here to give us this and this. So successive division produces 8 nuclei, this and this, okay, and all of this. So it goes through all this process until you have this and this. One coming from micronucleus and the other coming from what? Mega nucleus. Okay, the same thing. Okay, macronucleus, we have meiosis, dividing. This is of paramecium also. Macronuclei, this is the synapse, this is the syngamy, the diploid micronucleus, the new macronuclei. Okay, diploid macronucleus and haploid one. Now, sexual reproduction, fusion of gametes. This type of sexual reproduction is found in higher plants and animals. Conjugation is found in lower plants, lower animals. Okay, fusion of gametes is the union of haploid male and female gametes to produce a diploid organism called zygote. This process is called what? Fertilization. Fertilization is day 1 of pregnancy. Any day where successful fertilization takes place is day 1 of pregnancy. Father has 46 chromosomes. The mother has 46 chromosomes. And in every organism, in human beings, there must be 46 chromosomes. So the father cannot transfer the 46 and the mother transfer the 46. You will be having 92, I guess. Okay, so that is an abnormal state. So therefore, there has to be meiosis 1. And here, Mendel's first law will also come to play, where the chromosome we have to what? Split. Am I communicating? So where there is going to be division, so the diploid chromosome, which is 46 chromosome or 23 pairs, will split into two so that the child is not an abnormal organism. So you will be getting 23 from daddy and 23 from mommy to become what? 46. And which is why you will look at yourself very closely. You will see that there are some features in your mother and in your father that are in you, and there are some features in your father and mother that are not in you. The ones that are in you are the ones in the trait of the 23 chromosomes you get from both of them. Am I communicating? Now, in higher animals, gametes are formed in special organs called gonads. The male gamete called spermatozoa. The male gamete called spermatozoa. The male gamete called spermatozoa are produced in the testes by meiosis. A type of what? Cell division. I've told you meiosis and mitosis. Okay, this process of sperm formation is called spermatogenesis. We call it, the process of sperm formation is called spermatogenesis. No, I told you spermatogenesis, spermatozoa are produced in the testes by meiosis. And that process of production of sperm cells or spermatozoa is called spermatogenesis. Also, the female gametes called ova or eggs are formed by meiosis in a process called oogenesis. Okay. Now, this is an egg cell, for example, and these are gametes. This is an egg cell. This is a sperm cell. The sperm cell size is 0.05, and the egg cell size is 0.2 millimeter. This is 0.05 millimeter. Now, during fertilization, this sperm cell is microscopic. The egg cell is visible. It's not microscopic. Okay. Now, the head of the sperm contains acrosome, the nucleus. So, in the process of fertilization, the head of the sperm, which contains the nucleus, fuses with it dissolves this shell, it dissolves this membrane. Okay. Now, it fuses with the nucleus of the egg cell, and when that is fused, that is what we call fertilization. And the fertilization is day one of pregnancy. Anything done to fertilize egg cell after that fertilization has taken place is what we call abortion, if it is intentional. Okay. And if it is lost, that is what we call miscarriage. So this is the cytoplasm, this is the nucleus. The sperm cell swims with the tail or this flagellum, okay? And the sugar needed for the sperm cells to have energy to swim is called fructose, which is why you have to take plenty of fruits and water, not all these soft drinks, okay? Natural fruits, okay? Fructose, that is what is needed. It has to dissolve all these cells. There are two shells. We have the vitally membrane and the plasma membrane. Both of them, the sperm cell has to dissolve both of them. So the sperm cell has to be very, very, very active. Okay, now look at it. This is the sperm cell trying to fertilize the egg cell. This is how it continues to swim. And about a million, over 10 million of sperm cells are in a drop of spermatozoa. It is only one that fertilizes the egg. The rest die off after 24 hours and they are flushed out. Sometimes it may not even be up to 24 hours. And they are flushed out of the body. So the idea or the philosophy that that is what females use, the rest of the sperm cells is what females use to look more beautiful, prettier, or it cannot be proven in biology, by biological science. So this one now fertilizes this, it dissolves this, and they fuse together. So there is exchange of materials between the egg cell and the sperm cell. Now, what are the differences between sperm cell and between sexual and asexual reproduction? Sexual gametes are formed, asexual gametes are not formed. Sexual, it involves fusion of gametes. Asexual, no fusion of gametes. Okay, two parents are formed in sexual, one parent is needed. In sexual, only offspring show new variation. Asexual, offspring are identical. Okay, zygote is formed in sexual, no zygote is formed in asexual. This is a male reproductive system. For example, where the testis is what? Where the sperm cell is produced and is ejaculated. And from the urethra here, it is called urinogenital organ, which is called, that is to say, urine passes through that place, and sperm cell also passes through that place. Okay, this is the seminal vesicle. In the seminal vesicle, seminal fluid is secreted. Seminal fluid is the fluid that helps the pH of the sperm cell. It is secreted at 3 points. It is secreted at the prostate gland, is situated at the corpus gland and at the seminal vesicle. Okay, so the sperm cells are temporarily stored in the epididymis, but they are permanently stored in the seminal vesicle until sexual intercourse will take place. Okay, now in the prostate gland, pH, the seminal fluid is added and it increases the pH. Okay, the scrotum starts to test the testes. Okay, the vast difference of the sperm dot, connects, brings the sperm from the seminal vesicle, okay, down through the vast difference or seminiferous tubule down into the testes, and then during ejaculation it is released through the penis. Okay, now this is the female reproductive system. Here is the ovary. This is the fallopian tube. If it is blocked, there cannot be reproduction. Okay, so we have the ovarian ligament. This is the cervical canal here. This is the cervix, perimetrum, okay, myometrium and endometrium. Okay, now if fertilization takes place at the oviduct, okay, or fallopian tube, when it is fertilized, it moves down into the uterus. The process of the movement of the fertilized egg into the uterus is what we call implantation. Okay, here is the uterine fundus. This is the fallopian tube, okay, or ovarian molecule. This is the cervix, okay, and cervical canal. Okay, we are dealt a lot about male reproductive organ. Okay, the male reproductive parts have the following: testes that houses the what that is the place where sperm cells are being produced. Seminiferous tubule, it connects it brings down the sperm cell from the seminal vesicle. Epididymis is the point where sperm cells are temporarily stored. Vast difference of sperm dots brings it down also. Okay, it connects to it. Seminal vesicle is a permanent store of sperm cell. Prostate gland and corpus gland, it produces, they add seminal fluid to the sperm cell. Urethra is also called urinogenital organ, where that helps in the passage of sperm cell and urine during urination. Okay, male reproductive system. We have the testes. Okay, they have two ovoid sacs in man. It forms scrotum, which encloses the two testes, which is what? In mammals, the testes are found outside the body. Why is the testes found outside the body? The sperm cells production requires a low temperature region, which is why it is not in the body. When it is in the body, temperature in the body is high. That's why the vagina is inside the body, but the sperm cell, the penis is outside the body, and the testis is also outside the body to enable the sperm formation. Why? Because a low temperature is actually needed. Okay, that's the function of the testis, to produce sperm cell and to produce male reproductive cell, which is called testosterone. Testosterone is responsible for secondary male sexual characteristics. I've told you all of this. Okay, feminiferous tubules, they are located in the testis. Function, they are points where sperm cells are produced. Seminiferous tubule, please take notes. Okay, in case it was missed some lines ago, it is the point where sperm cells are produced.